The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
All right, cool. We're here with our part 2 of our 1-year retrospecticus of our past year. You know, this is still our 52nd episode. It's 52b.
And one of us hasn't died yet, so keep listening.
Yeah, exactly. And we are joined by our guest Frank Conniff, who is going to talk to us all about everything the Mads have been up to all year long.
Hi, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm late. I completely spaced out. I'm sorry.
Well, we're just happy to have you now.
We've had Trace entertaining us.
I hope
this
I'm
whole
not.
time.
I'm not too late, although I am extremely late. But
well, no, I mean, we're happy to have you hanging out, and but Frank, thanks for joining us. We've been talking about the movies you guys have riffed all year. And some of your favorites. Do you have a favorite movie that you guys have riffed this year?
That we riffed this year? A favorite? That's hard to say.
Yeah, because this is your 12th show is coming up here with the Lost Missile, so you've gone a full year.
One, I don't know if it's okay for me to say the one that we're about to do, but I think this one might be my favorite one.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, the Lost Missile.
It's a film I wasn't familiar with before, and it's kind of Armageddon, but with no budget, but better than Armageddon.
Well, that is a low bar, but
yeah, it's and Robert Loggia is the star, and he's great, and it's a film that depends heavily on stock footage, and it's a film with no budget at all, but it's about a missile destroying cities and stuff, So if you like great special effects, this isn't the film for you. But
now, Frank, Trace said you would give us the exclusive on who your special guest is going to be at the end of the show.
He was lying because
I was lying. Okay, you got me. I wouldn't have let you told us. Don't worry, but because he said he didn't know either.
But yeah, the Lost Missile sounds cool. I'm looking forward to that. Do you have a least favorite one that you riffed? One that you hope you never have to do again.
You don't happen to have a list of the movies we riffed?
Oh man, of course I do. We did Glenda, The Tingler, Walk the Dark Streets, Brain from Planet Eros, Santa Claus versus the Devil, The Choppers, Phantom from Space, T-Bird Gang, Lost Missile, and then Three Nights of Shorts.
I'd say out of those, if I had a least favorite, it might be the Santa Claus one, because we already did it on Mystery Science Theater, so I'm sick of it.
Yeah. Do you think the Devil could take on any other holiday besides Christmas?
I think Easter would have been much more appropriate for the Devil.
Mm-hmm. Arbor Day?
Yeah, Arbor Day too. Yeah, Arbor Day is even more Jesus-y than the other ones.
Yeah, the most Jesus-y. Maybe Satan, the Devil versus Earth Day.
Exactly. Yeah, Earth Day, or Sadie Hawkins Day,
Boxing Day for the Canadian Devil.
Oh, South Park did a Canadian Devil bit. That was pretty fun.
They did do a Canadian Devil.
I'm sure they did. And now, listen, I love all of them, but if you're going to make me pick favorites and unfavorites, that would be I think where I would go. I don't know if I'm not quite sure I have the fondness for the Santa Claus one that I have for the other movies.
Now, which is more traumatic, that or Santa Claus Conquers the Martians?
Santa Claus Conquers the Martian, for sure. Because that one we did live. We did it first in Mystery Science Theater, and then we did it live with Cinematic Titanic. And that we all got sick of. In fact, Trace refuses to do it again. He's taken a very hard stand on that movie, that Although maybe next Christmas we'll do it again. Who knows? But you know, that one we all just had enough of.
Are there enough Christmas shorts for you guys to do a Christmas shorts?
There might be. I know Riff Tracks has done a lot of them, so I don't know if we can find fresh ones that Riff Tracks hasn't done. But well, we may do them anyway if we're desperate.
Well, like the Bridget and Mary Joe specials, they started doing the shortened versions of like Christmas movies that I think Castle Films produced. So there might be a reservoir of those.
Yeah, and I know that the new Mystery Science Theater did the Christmas That Almost Wasn't, which I remember from when I was a kid. I remember the ads for that in New York. The star of that movie, Paul Tripp, was the star of a kids show in New York called Birthday House, and he was someone like we even made fun of him when we were kids. So I was kind of happy for those guys to be able to do that movie.
Is he the little baby?
I don't know. I haven't seen it since I was a little kid, so I don't really remember of it. But I just remember Paul Tripp was in it.
No, that is an excellent one that they did in, I think that's season 11, Ryan.
Yeah, season 11.
Yeah, no, that's I think all their choices for that one were great. But speaking of riff track choices, one of the recent ones they did that I loved was Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price.
Oh yeah, with Vincent Price. That's the was remade by Will Smith, right? The Richard Matheson
and the Omega Man.
And the Omega Man.
Yeah.
We did the Omega Man. We put movies on trial, and last time you were here, Frank, we did the Wicker Man. And you were on my side, so you were right.
We only do movies with the word man in them.
Yes, exactly.
You had the best line of the show, Frank, because you said you were voting innocent because you were very concerned about Nicolas Cage's finances.
We did Omega Man, and we found that one not guilty, right?
Not guilty.
I don't. Have you seen Omega Man, Frank?
I saw it in a theater when it came out, just to reveal how old I am to you right now. But I haven't really seen it since. I kind of started watching it on Turner Classic Movies one night, and I sort of lost interest a bit. It probably is. I remember I liked it when I was a kid and saw it. So.
Mm-hmm. Heston spends a lot of
zombies, and doesn't Charlton Heston become Jesus at the end of it or something?
Yes,
exactly. He does do the crucifixion pose.
Exactly that.
And he spends a lot of time shirtless.
Blue shirt. Yeah.
He dies in the fountain from the opening credits of Friends.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's great.
I'll be there for you. That's not the same fountain.
No, we don't want
Yes, it is. That is the fountain. Yes, it is.
Ryan knows things. That's his bit on the show.
He does know things.
They actually specifically talked about that on the reunion show. No, I'm kidding. They didn't.
I believed it for a second.
They should have.
Oh my goodness.
Friends is having a reunion. I don't know what that has to do with us, but I don't know. I'm sure someone's here is going to watch it. Not me. One of the movies you guys did, I love Choppers. I don't know why I love Choppers.
Is one I like a lot too. Yeah.
It's very charming, and especially if anyone who's seen EGA, then you see Choppers, and you're like, these are the same people. Is it
really had to put his son in everything?
He did, and I find it very and I'm sincere about this. I find it touching that Arch Hall Sr. put his son tried to make a movie star out of his son. I mean, it's kind of a really sweet thing. I mean, the movies weren't that good, but it's kind of a nice thing for a dad to do, to want to think his son is real. Oh, he's so talented. He can play guitar. He can sing. He was wrong about all of that, but still.
He's the ultimate soccer dad. You go, son. You kicked it in the wrong goal. That's okay.
Well, I like that he covered his bases. In case his son wasn't a good actor, it was like, well, we'll have him sing in every movie too. Maybe that'll catch on.
That's excellent.
It's true. And, I didn't even know this until recently, but Arch Hall Sr., and this is absolutely true, he is played by Robert Mitchum in a movie called The Last Time I Saw Archie, which was made in the 50s and starring and directed by Jack Webb of Dragnet fame, and it was written by a screenwriter named William Bowers, who was friends with Arch Hall in the Army. And apparently Arch Hall was this real, kind of con man operator kind of guy, and a really interesting person. And William Bowers wrote the script about him, and Jack Webbs plays Bowers, and for whatever reason they didn't change anybody's name, so it's Jack Webb is William Bowers, and Robert Mitchum as Arch Hall Senior, and I never, all these years, I never knew that until recently, and it's not that great a movie. It's kind of okay, but he was portrayed by Robert Mitchum, which I find kind of amazing.
I love everything that Mitchum does. We did The Big Sleep.
He's a great actor, Robert Mitchum.
Love Robert Mitchum.
Yeah, we did
The
Big Sleep, the 1978 one with Robert Mitchum. We did a trial of it with.
He's Robert Mitchum is the star of what is his. If it's not my all-time favorite movie, it's very close, which is A Night of the Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic movie.
So good.
Great movie.
Absolutely.
That is a great one. But yeah, I don't know. Have you seen The Big Sleep, the 1978 one?
No, I haven't, and I want to see it, and it's passed by my notice somehow. I love the Humphrey Bogart version, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't necessarily like the Robert Mitchum one, so I want to see it.
It's on Amazon Prime right now.
It might be you don't like it.
Yeah, they are different. I watched them back to back when we did that trial too.
Me too.
And, according to the defense, Matthew J. Elliott from Riff Tracks, the Mitchum one is closer to the book,
which is true.
Yeah,
very true.
Don't know if that makes it
you
better.
probably heard the famous story about when they were writing the Humphrey Bogart one, and there was a scene the chauffeur was dead, and they had no idea who killed him or why he was dead, and they called up Raymond Chandler, and they asked him. He had written it in the book, and he said he had no idea either.
That's true. I presented that as a piece of evidence, actually.
And but I think for me that's just kind of an example of when those movies with really complicated plots like that you can't quite follow. Like sometimes it's not important if you're following everything. It's just that it's entertaining and the actors are good and the dialogue is good and you're just kind of along for the ride.
I watch a lot of Turner Classic Movies, and they recently had a noir kind of festival where they played a documentary, and they asked a bunch of people to explain the plot of The Big Sleep, and none of them could do it.
Yeah. It's impossible.
They would openly struggle with the question.
But
it's quite inscrutable.
It's so well done, and the dialogue is so great in it that like in the opening scene when Humphrey Bogart says, "Your daughter just tried to sit on my lap while I was standing up." It's just great stuff like that. But I if I had to bet, I would almost guarantee that I'm gonna like the Humphrey Bogart version better than the Robert Mitchum one. But I'm willing to give the Robert Mitchum one a chance.
Now, Robert Mitchum does do a judo chop in it, which is pretty spectacular.
Judo chop.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
That's cool.
And I think that guy he judo chops, I think he's who kills the chauffeur. So I'm disappointed in Raymond Chandler.
That could be it.
Is that's I'm pretty sure it's him. But so Choppers, we're talking about Choppers was a great one.
Intensely watchable, Choppers.
I think it is.
And I have to say, all of the like juvenile delinquents in it, all the kids who played them were all really good, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're all great, and I think you kind of feel, for them where like they half of them end up dead at the end.
Yeah.
Over some stupid, hubcap stealing scheme.
Well, yeah, it's like Trace said while we were watching it. Suddenly, it becomes The Departed at the end.
Yeah.
So we should have been looking for all the windows with the X's in them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a big shootout. I don't know why the big guy with the shotgun, like he shoots one kid and then turns to check on the old man, and that's when he gets jumped. I would have checked on him after the gunfight. Brain from Planet Arrows is another one, and as we talked about it's one of those genres of where like we couldn't afford to show you a monster the whole time,
Right. Yeah, it's a very clever way to
Stretch
have
that dollar.
right. But then there's the one we just did that had the invisible monster, right? Whatever
Phantom from Space, very
yeah,
similar.
Conniff from Space. That's the cheapest way to have a monster.
Yeah, well, like Fiend Without a Face kind of did the similar thing too, right? Where
Mhm.
like the monster's invisible for most of the time, or something like that. And what's the MST3K one with Lee Van Cleef? It Conquered the World, Ryan?
Oh
Yes,
yeah, I
that's the one.
think it's It Conquered the World with Peter Graves and Beverly Garland and Lee Van Cleef. Yeah, I think that's that one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cross section with these movies, like in Choppers. The guy who plays the junkyard owner is Bruno Vasoda, right? And
Right.
he's in
the Corman guy.
yeah, and he's in
A
tons
lot
of
of-
Corman movies.
He's in a lot of Roger Corman movies. Yeah, he's in a lot of
Yeah.
things that we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know if that connection is if that's how you find these movies. You find one of those B actors and you're just like, let's just look at everything they did.
You know what? We've never done that, but that's a great idea. That's a great way to. Well, might take your advice on that. That's
You can have that one. Absolutely.
That's a freebie.
Yeah, that's a freebie. So this is your 12th show, The Lost Missile, coming up. And Trace said he doesn't even know who the guest is. Now, I imagine you won't tell me who the guest is, but can you give us a hint?
I can give you a hint by saying that I haven't confirmed anybody yet. So
Perfect.
Oh, fair. That's
Oh,
fair.
then I know who it is.
It's Millie. It is Millie. Just
it could be
just
Millie.
like we said. That'd be excellent.
So, Frank, is there so of the 12 that you've done, is there one you're excited to maybe get on the road if you guys get back on the road doing live shows? Is there one you want to work into your repertoire, you think?
Oh yeah, I think I think all of them. I kind of feel would be. I think the one, the John Agar one that we just talked about. I think that would be a really good one to do live, and the one with T-Bird Gang I really like doing. I would love to do that on the road. So. Because I think once we do them, any one of them would be great. Because once Trace and I start doing them on the road, we end up adding jokes and stuff, and they usually get better when we perform them on the road.
Well, you get
like
that real time feedback, right?
It's like the Marx Brothers test, where they would take their material and then test it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know there's at least one I've seen you guys do live that you haven't done yet, Neanderthal Man. I don't know if that's one you plan for the future.
Yeah, I think that might be a rights issue at this point about doing it digitally, but we'll certainly get back to that when we get back on the road, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. And do you think you do some more shorts? Like,
we're going to do another short show, I think. Maybe in 2 months. I think we plan to do them quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
there's definitely enough shorts out there, right?
Yeah, the short shows will be the way I'm supposed to pay my taxes, quarterly.
I would love to see Mighty Mr. Titan come back, just because of the cartoon dump connection.
Yeah, that one is always fun, and we'll definitely. I think we just started. We only did a couple of all shorts nights when we were on the road, so I think that's something. That's the great thing about these digital shows is that they've forced us to do a new show every month, so we have such a large repertoire now of stuff.
Yeah, and is it nice too, because I mean now you get to do shows basically from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, I mean it's great, and it's been such a blessing to us during the pandemic to be able to do this. But I do miss the live audience, and I look forward to performing live again.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be great to see you guys live again and such too. I don't know realistically when that happens again.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of my comedian friends are already out doing shows and stuff, and I know a lot of people are booking stuff in the fall. But I guess it all depends on if any of the these theaters reach out to us and want us to come perform there. I'm sure they've all been struggling a lot, so I think it might not even be an issue of the pandemic at first. It might be just that they, that they can't afford to take us back at first, maybe.
Yeah. What I'd really like to see is, back in MST3K, you guys would do serials and stuff to open. I'd love to see you guys do some serials. A lot
That
of
would
those are
be
still
fun. We haven't done that in a long time, so I think that would be fun.
Do some Commander Cody's.
Yeah, well, there's so many, like Phantom Creeps, like finishing Phantom Creeps or Undersea Kingdom, any of those.
Yeah. That I think that would be worth looking back into for sure.
Yeah,
that one's not free though. No.
But those are definitely out there, and those are always some of my favorites. And that's kind of what you guys did before shorts, right? It was there were shorts, but they were here's a serial before the movie, and I don't think that you guys ever finished a serial because they're usually 15 parters.
And we never finished them, and nobody cared. So,
well, Rob,
episode 9 of General Hospital. I feel
I'm saying I cared. That's what I'm saying. But no, very cool. Now we've done, as you know, we do movies on trial, and we've done a lot of interesting trials this year. We've already been through some of the ones that we liked. And if anyone has an idea of a second great one, I know one of the episodes I really liked is we did the original Murder on the Orient Express versus Knives Out as like a head-to-head of who was better. And we'll put you in the hot seat, Frank. What do you think would be better on that? Original Murder on the Orient Express or Knives Out?
Oh, you know what? That's a great question because, I think the tendency would be to just automatically say the original Murder on the Orient Express because it's so good and it's Sidney Lumet and the cast is incredible, but I really love Knives Out, and it was so entertaining. So that's a really tough one. I think I'm going to give it to Knives Out just because they're all still alive, and it would mean a lot to them to hear me say that I prefer.
Yeah, I think that is the way we came down. We came down to Knives Out or Head. And Frank, I know you're a big Bond fan. We've done a bunch of Bond movies. We did the original. Our first episode was the original Casino Royale. But one of our favorite head-to-heads,
the original, the movie or the TV version,
right? Not the TV one in the 50s, the actual original, the Woody Allen one.
That's how I annoy people. And
Matthew J. Elliott already did that to us.
Show the world I'm a nerd when
it's on YouTube.
When people say Sean Connery was the original James Bond, and then you go, no, Barry Nelson was, and then they don't want to be friends with you anymore. So it's
we still do, and I know that episode is on YouTube because I've recently watched it.
Oh yeah.
So if anyone wants to see that original made TV Casino Royale, it is out there.
Well, it's not. It's on a. I got it as a DVD extra from the 1960s Casino Royale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was our first episode, was the 1960s Woody Allen one.
Right.
Total mess of a movie though.
Yeah.
Real fun, but just a clusterfuck.
Exactly,
of a movie.
Fun but terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's about it. Yeah,
yeah, that's what we said, and we agreed too. But we did some excellent Bonds too. Like we did Skyfall for some reason.
I just watched Skyfall the other night.
Really, and you loved it?
I loved it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ben's back.
It's so really great. Hiya, Ben. And another head-to-head we did Goldfinger versus the new Casino Royale.
Mm-hmm.
And so hot seat, what would you take there, Goldfinger or the new Casino Royale?
I think the new Casino Royale is very good. I think I wouldn't hesitate to take Goldfinger because that's my prime James Bond period, or the first 5 Sean Connery films.
Goldfinger's like when it really found its mark, I think. Like that's when it really started to be Bond.
Goldfinger is when they figured out this is what a James Bond movie is, and Goldfinger is absurd. The plot is crazy, but it's but I love it, and also John Barry's music in it is so great that's another reason why I love it so much. His music is great in all of them, but that one in particular, I think.
And those amazing Ken Adams sets.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Ken
so
Adams
good.
sets. So that Sean Connery period, especially starting with Goldfinger and then Thunderball and You Only Live Twice. That's my peak James Bond era because I mean I was a kid when they came out and they were a huge deal to me then. So um, that nostalgia factor for me is heavy. Although I have to say, if you wanted to just say what is the best James Bond movie, I would say Skyfall.
Oh,
Oh, that's
overall.
fair.
No, I think that's a contender. I do think Skyfall is better than Casino Royale.
It's the best looking James Bond movie. I will give it
It's
that.
the
sure.
best of the Daniel Craig ones, but I think the Daniel Craig ones are overall the best of the series. I think. I mean, for me, the Roger Moore ones, I kind of had lost interest in Bond by then, so I wasn't as into them. And when I watch them now, like I kind of I don't like them as much as the Sean Connery ones, but I know that people love the Roger Moore ones. But I think that the Timothy Dalton and the Pierce Brosnan era, like I just don't think is very good.
Oh, I love GoldenEye though, and
Yeah,
Tomorrow Never Dies. But
yeah, but and I think they're both very good. I think Timothy Dalton was very good, and Pierce Brosnan was very good as Bond. But by the time you get to the Pierce Brosnan films, to me, they're like kind of derivative of modern action movies, which were derivative of the original James Bond movies. So it's kind of, I think with Daniel Craig, they brought the freshness to it back. And it was a really great decision. And I remember heavily criticized by people when they chose Daniel Craig. Nobody expected them to pick Daniel Craig, and it was a great choice.
I remember
yeah,
when
people
they
are always
picked him and
wrong.
people were like, Bond can't be blonde. And I'm like, that's
Yeah,
what you're hung up on? That?
People
They're
are
really going to hate when they make him a woman.
remember the huge backlash when they cast Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
How
enormous.
dare you do that? It's like, well,
Right.
he's the best one. What are you talking about?
And everyone's like, it'll always be Jack Nicholson.
It's like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
I know. It's crazy. So
It'll always be Cesar Romero.
Yeah, I was gonna say Cesar Romero.
that's where I come down, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that we brought up earlier, we were talking about what you think makes a perfect movie to riff. Like what are sort of the criteria or rubric you kind of judge things on?
Mm-hmm. Oh well, that's I mean I think we've been asked this a lot, and I bet Trace probably gave a very similar answer to the one I'm going to give, which is that sincerity on the part of the filmmaker is a very important element um, of just people who very sincerely and straightforwardly try to make a good movie, and it fell far short. But there's no self awareness on the part of the filmmakers. Um, I think that's kind of the essential element, and that's why the films that Trace and I do, which are from the 50s or the 60s, kind of before the age of irony, those are kind of the best ones to do, I think.
It's
We didn't
before
have
irony
irony
was
when
invented.
we were kids. Exactly. We didn't have it when we were kids. We barely had sarcasm.
Exactly. I was being
Um,
sarcastic when I said that, but
But yeah, no, exactly. That's what I think makes a great movie too. Is it's not fun to riff a spoof. I think you can riff a bad comedy, like a comedy that thinks it's funny but fails to be.
yeah,
But not.
those you can do. They're hard. I mean, like on Mystery Science Theater, for instance, like Catalina Caper was just
Yeah.
a really bad comedy, and that worked fine.
Yeah, exactly. Now we always ask for recommendations from our guests for a movie that you think people should see. What is a movie someone should see? What's a movie if they haven't checked it out? What should they check out?
Oh, trying to think of what I watched recently. Well, you know what? I'm gonna, in honor of Charles Grodin, I'm going to say people should try to find, if they can. It's hard to find The Heartbreak Kid, with Charles Grodin, directed by Elaine May, and that's like for people who love Charles Grodin, that's like one of his few movies that he's the lead in, and he's great in it, and it's a terrific comedy.
It's peak Elaine May too.
Yeah, it's Elaine May. Although I love Elaine May directed 4 movies. I love all of them.
Yeah, me too.
But that one is great. And as long as we're talking about Elaine May, I'll also mention Mikey and Nikki, which is available. I think it's on the Criterion Channel, and it used to not be available. But that's John Cassavetes and Peter Falk, and it's not a comedy, but it's a really great character piece, and I was kind of blown away with it when I
It's
saw
not
it.
a comedy, but it is funny.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. You might have recommended it last time you were here. I got to check.
I think you did.
So since I recommended that one already, I'll just say that The Heartbreak Kid is the Charles Grodin version, not the Ben Stiller version. Is
Not the Shawn Michaels version.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, that was exactly your recommendation last time. So at least you're consistent.
well, there's been like thousands of movies, so I think it'd be nice if I recommended a different one. But
No, that just shows how good that movie is. So people really do need to watch it. It's like, what are you doing? Not listening to Frank? Come on.
Yeah, and you're gonna tie.
No one watched it. Do it again.
You're gonna tie Dimogen soon for movie recommended most.
Oh man, if we could get Frank to recommend Dimogen, that would be quite the coup for us.
That would be a great
I'll
one.
give you my recommendation.
Big Ben, what's your recommendation?
Well, it's not technically a movie, but it's on Letterboxd, so I'm going to count it. I just finished rewatching Cowboy Bebop, which, if you love things like Guardians of the Galaxy or Firefly, they both owe a lot to Cowboy Bebop as far as this.
Come back, Ben. Come back to the mic. Come back, Ben. Come back.
It sounds
to the
like he kind of
microphone.
floated away.
That's what I'm saying. He's just like
faded into the ether there.
Yeah. It's like he's on a. It's like he's on a merry-go-round, and we just have to wait every few minutes.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Exactly.
Hey, Cowboy
I love it
Bebop.
so much. It's
If you like Firefly.
Yeah, I'm glad that Ben could join us on his tin can on a string today.
I
Thank
did,
you
yeah.
so much.
You know, Cowboy Bebop is fantastic, and there actually is a pretty good standalone Cowboy Bebop movie that you probably could have recommended, Ben. But that's
No,
not
I was
it.
going to say, if someone gave me grief for it, then do the movie, because it's basically just more Cowboy Bebop. But the show has like great themes about like trying to escape your past, and it has an ending that just can't be beat. But yeah, the movie's good too.
No, Ben's right. Cowboy Bebop is an exceptional anime. It's really good.
Very cool, very cool. Ryan, what have you got for us? What's your recommendation?
My recommendation this week has nothing to do with anything we've discussed today. Deal with it. I'm recommending Wong Kar-wai's simmering 2000 film In the Mood for Love. Possibly the sexiest movie to feature absolutely no sex in its entire 99-minute runtime. It's worth recommending based on Maggie Cheung's flowered dress patterns alone. In the Mood for Love is currently streaming on the Criterion Channel and Canopy. Support your local library.
Support your local library.
Yeah, very
Recommending
cool, very
movies
cool.
based on dress patterns. I can get behind this.
They're amazing. Oh my god, they're so good.
I'd like to have like a theme night like that where you just like, okay, we have to watch movies, but nothing but misty woods or something like that. It just has to have mist in it.
Oh, I should bust out my Tim Gunn impression. Oh, I have to get in character. Designers, your challenge today. Make it work.
Not bad.
That's not bad.
I gotta think of a recommendation.
Well, I've got a recommendation.
I thought you already gave one.
No, I didn't. I did not. I did not.
Fine,
so,
go ahead and spoil the show.
Well, hey, so it's our 1-year anniversary. We talk about movies. I'm just going to pull out the stops and recommend my favorite movie of all time, Ghostbusters. It is just the best.
I've heard of that one.
I know, right? And it's like I wanted like no deep cuts or anything today. Everyone's probably already seen Ghostbusters. Just rewatch it. It's a great movie that you can always see something new, something hilarious every time you watch it. And if you can get the DVD, it is one of, and possibly the Blu-ray, I can't speak to that, but if you can get the DVD, there's a trivia track, there's a Mystery Science Theater style commentary track with it, and
It's on the Blu-ray.
And it's on the Blu-ray. Thank you, Ryan. So that's on the Blu-ray. So get the Blu-ray and watch it. It's my favorite movie, so that's why I'm recommending it.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Man, I guess since we're gonna go mainstream.
Yeah, right. No deep cuts today, not from me.
Well,
How deep is Cowboy Bebop? Is that like knee deep or?
It's weeb shit. There, I said.
Oh, jeez! You just got all the Ultraman series delivered to the house.
Ultraman is cool. First off, Ultraman's great.
So Rob, bring us home and recommend Daimogen.
But we have so many times, so I'm going to recommend The Blob because I love The Blob. And it's from 1958, and it, I think it's. I'm sure it'll never get riffed, but it sure could be because it definitely is sincere. But the special effects hold up great, right? We watched it a few months ago, and the kids were terrified of the Blob monster. And
Now,
I
Rob, I must know,
it was real.
What do you think of the remake?
I don't think I've ever seen the remake, or Beyond the Blob. I didn't see the cheap sequel they made a few years after that either.
I recommend the remake.
And I think there may even be a Son of the Blob. Frank, do you know if there's a Son of the Blob?
There might be. I'm a little behind in my Blob scholarship. But correct me if I'm wrong. And wasn't one of the Blob sequels directed by Larry Hagman?
Yeah, Beware the Blob from '72 was Hagman. And actually, it's also called Son of Blob, so that must be what I know it from. But yeah, I don't know if they.
Trace and I have performed at that movie theater many times where the Blob was filmed.
Oh,
nice.
that's cool.
Yeah,
I always thought it was a model.
Great theater.
It's only a model. But no, I love the Blob, and that's just like a perfect sci-fi monster movie. They don't really beat around the bush. You pretty much immediately get to that monster. You see it for the whole movie too, unlike some of the other movies we mentioned.
Gotta love that molasses.
Yeah, exactly. Where they didn't have the effects to show it. But it's a problem solving. They figured out how to make a monster that wasn't that expensive. Yep.
It really works. It's a good recommendation, Rob. It really is.
Yeah, like I don't even care if the monster doesn't look that good. Like just show it. Like the brain from Planet Eros doesn't. No one thinks it's a real brain monster, but it looks cool enough. Just keep it on the screen. Just keep it on the screen. Frank, if there's any movie that you guys have riffed that you'd like to see remade, big budget, whether it was MST3K or anything, what would you like to see rebooted or remade?
I would absolutely not want to see any of them remade.
Nope, you just hate remakes?
Thank you.
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what would necessarily lend itself to a remake. I know that like they've already remade Manos: The Hands of Fate.
Mandy, right?
Well, I would prefer to watch any version of Manos than Mandy, but that's a controversial opinion because I know a lot of people love Mandy. Trace and I did a podcast about it. We were not fond of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's one of my favorite episodes. Carolina completely for the movie, and then the two of you anti-movie.
Cranky old men who were like,
wrong.
Well, did you see Color Out of Space though? We said the same thing to Trace. If you saw Color Out of Space,
what is it called?
Color Out of Space. It's another Nick Cage movie from around that time.
Oh no, God! There's so many Nick Cage movies that
he does like 5 movies a year. To be fair,
got to pay off all those castles he bought.
I know that I haven't seen. I'm always in the market to watch Nick Cage because I think he's great, but I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you should. It's based on the Lovecraft story, and it's pretty wild.
It's on Shudder if you have Shudder.
Oh, right.
I'd like to see them do a big budget remake of like Walk the Dark Streets.
Isn't that just Hard Target?
The story's been done a few times.
Yeah, it's the most dangerous game, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, there probably will be that story. People do that story, have been doing it forever, so I'm sure there will be. But if I would just be sitting there going, "Where's Chuck Connors?"
And I mean, the Fast and the Furious franchise, I guess, already is a remake of the Choppers. So
Yeah, kind of. And actually, wasn't there was a Roger Corman film in the 50s called The Fast and the Furious, right?
Yeah,
yes,
they had to actually buy the rights to the name because he
Mhm.
owned it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Corman just made so many movies just so he could cover the bases. It's like the people who bought all the early internet URLs.
Some guy in the 70s got Too Fast, Too Furious, so they had to pay him too.
But no, I haven't seen the 50s Fast and the Furious. I should.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
haven't
movie
seen
that basically made him an independent producer.
What was that, Frank?
No, I said I haven't seen that one either, and I've only seen a couple of the modern Fast and Furious, which I'm perfectly okay with. They're over the top action films.
Yeah.
No, I have no objection to them.
You might say they stay in their lane.
Yes,
They get better from what I, they get
do.
better.
I am a proud member of the I have not seen a single one of them to this day club.
I mean, the ones with Dwayne The Rock Johnson are, I think, pretty solid. And then they add Jason Statham into it.
Yeah, there's the one where they chase a submarine in the Arctic or something. I mean, they do it all.
And now they're going to space.
The new one is in outer space, right?
Yeah.
So,
I hope so.
Oh,
Wait, John
literally,
Cena?
it's in outer space.
It's
That's
not
fantastic.
It's not entirely in outer space, but they do go to space.
Hey,
With John Cena. Wasn't that
talking
my
about
recommendation for the third Gremlins movie? They go to space with John Cena.
this. It was something to that effect for sure.
But yeah, so everyone should absolutely check out Frank and Trace's upcoming show. It's on the 8th Tuesday night, so this Tuesday. And it's $10, right? And I believe it's at
$10,
8 p.m.
and you can watch it live, which is a fun way to do it. But you can also, if you get your ticket by Showtime, you can get a download and watch it whenever you want.
Yep, I know we talked about that earlier. That's probably the best feature of those shows is that if you can't see it live, you get the download and you can build yourself a little Mads Live library. I've got
right.
one. So I always buy my ticket every month so that I can watch it. You've had some great guests along, and I know you guys will have a lot more really cool guests. And even if you don't, if the Q&A is just you and Trace talking, that'll be entertaining.
I think we started doing the Q&As just kind of by accident almost. Someone told us that Vincent Price's daughter would be available when we did the Tingler, and so we had her on, and she was delightful, and the people loved it. And now people, I think, would be mad if we didn't do the Q&As now. So so that's like a total regular feature now.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I always like the Q&As, and it's great to see you guys yucking it up with the Riff Tracks guys, and I think there's this spirit among the fandom that there's got to be these lines drawn and that everyone's contentious, and it's like everybody's friends.
We've had Jonah Ray on, and I've tried to get Patton on, but he's kind of busy, so
yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of hard. He's told me he really wants to do it, but he's since he's on 8 shows already, it's a little hard to.
Yeah, he's on that new MODOK show that's on.
Yeah, he's on, which I saw, which is good, and he's
it's funny.
He's got a lot of stuff going on, but we'll have him on when he's available, which might be never, but still.
If for Patton, he was really good in Justified. I don't think he gets enough credit for some of his
He's a
serious
really
work.
good actor. That one from Young Adult, he was great in that.
Oh, so good in Young Adult.
And Big Fan is another one he's really good in.
Yeah.
Yep. So everyone get your ticket now, and you can tune in and download. Man, it's absolutely worth it. And Frank, do you think there's a possibility if someone has been missing episodes that some kind of backlog will become available?
Yeah, we've been discussing that, and I think that'll happen at some point. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know some people
very good.
be like, "Oh, I'm just starting now, a year in, and I'd like to see all those early ones." So I'm sure there's some way that could be worked out.
That'll happen at some point.
It's been great having you, Frank, and obviously you can send our thanks to Trace as well.
Thank you.
How you guys tagged in.
so cool, despite my extreme unprofessionalism.
Oh, it was cool. I'm still trying to decide, like, is there some way I can patchwork this together so it sounds like they're here together, or am I just gonna Neapolitan ice cream this shit? Like,
I once told a guest to come at a different time, and we had to sit here for an hour as I was berating them. So this is nowhere near as unprofessional as I've been.
No, and it was cool. You know, we got to have the Mads separate, and you like Goldfinger, and he likes Casino Royale. So that's what we learned.
Oh, was that Trey said that was his favorite?
He went with
Yeah,
Casino Royale.
he thought the misogyny in Goldfinger really turned it down a bit.
Well, he's right, but he's not wrong about that.
Yeah, he's not wrong. It's stuff that we had said too.
I contend it's because James Bond is a prisoner the whole time. It doesn't actually solve the problem. But okay.
But no, pretty great. But obviously, thanks to the Mads for joining us. Thank to everyone who's been listening to us. This is our 52nd episode. We've made it a full year as well. So thank you to Ryan and Ben, but not Dylan, for all their hard work and making the show a possibility. And we hope that everyone will join us next time and next season as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Count it.
Bye.
Frank, you can say count it too.
Oh, what?
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.